Hey y'all, Fred here. Thanks so much for joining me today. We are going to take a look at this no-name black tactical crazy gas station looking knife. So this is the last knife in our series I've been working on for weeks now. John, our buddy John Emerson, sent me a box full of knives, all kinds of crazy stuff in here. He spends just days and nights scouring the internet for like the craziest, least expensive yet has potential to be a good knife. He's like the looking for the best deals in the world. I don't think he got the best deal in the world necessarily with this one, but we're going to take a look. So anyhow, this is the final knife in the series here that we're going to look at as far as the reviews go. And it has no name. I did do a review. I had to do a reverse photo lookup online just to figure out where did this knife even come from, and and how can I find details on it. John didn't have the details. He said I got it on Temu and I only paid about $5 for it. And so I found this for about $5.54. So this is cheaper than a gas station knife. And maybe in that regard, this is a great knife, but that's probably about where the good stuff ends. Before we get too far into it, if you would, hit that subscribe notification bell if you like these kind of videos, looking at very inexpensive and affordable knives. But, you know, sometimes we actually find some real gems. And John has a knack for finding knives that hold up really well, surprisingly well. Throw me a thumbs up if you would. That really helps the channel out. Just helps little guys like me get found on the YouTubes. There is no box for me to show you what this came in, so no box today. I usually do that at the beginning. Let's do some size comps. This is a pretty darn big knife. There's a PM2 and the old 𝗲𝗺𝗃. So I'm going to line them up by the back ends here. This is basically the same length. This is almost the exact same length as the PM2. Okay, this is the OK81. I realize that's not a real PM2, but it's the exact same size shape. This is, to me, a fantastic knife. All right, let's do a couple of more in case you're not a 𝗲𝗺𝗃 fan. You don't have those 𝗲𝗺𝗃s. 𝗬𝗲 Vision FG is certainly bigger than that, and bigger than the 𝗏 Raccoon, which is an incredibly popular selling knife. I have, just in case, it's way bigger than a Rosie. Yeah, but not quite as good by a little bit of a margin. Where's my dollar bill? I always like to do a dollar bill. Y'all have said that that works for you guys. So I'm going to line this up right here at the end. You have to trust me. This is, in fact, lined up. I know it video looks like it's over the edge. It's not. Big. It's big, right? It's a big knife. Let's, matter of fact, go ahead and pull up the specs on this crazy big knife here. 8.4 inches overall, 3.6 inch blade closed. This is 4 3/4 inches. The blade thickness is actually not that bad, 115 thousandths on the blade thickness, so that was kind of surprising. I was expecting it would be thicker, although I don't want it to be thicker. The handle's pretty thick. It is 86 hundredths, so this is more than 3/4 of an inch thick. It's actually a little closer to 1 inch thick than it is to 3/4 of an inch thick. I think, I don't know, math's not an exact science. It is certainly contoured and rounded scales. Let's see, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, it's just big, thick, and I want to say these are plastic scales. This isn't even, I don't even think this is G10. The blade finish is definitely paint. It's got a few markings on it. I'm going to show you why it has those markings in just a minute. This is just an inexpensive painted blade. The blade grind, what do you call this thing? This is clearly a tanto of some sort. It is, I don't know that you would call it a compound tanto. It's half serrated, half hollow tanto with some nasty looking hooks on it. And it's a hollow ground. I think I mentioned that. That's about all I can tell you on that. The scales, as I mentioned, I don't think this is G10. I think these are just plastic. This feels more plastic than G10, but who knows? I don't have any way to test that. The blade steel on these things, so some of the listings say this is a 440C. But then I found Alibaba, which is China, of course, where it's definitely was made. Those say 3CR13. I'll tell you, having done a little bit of, I just put this on a ceramic stone. It's one of the ways I can test quickly and easily. Just do a little ceramic rod like that little pocket-sized sharpener from Worksharp. That thing works great. But a few passes on a ceramic stone, and I was definitely getting a big burr on the edge. So this is not a 440C. This is going to be a 3CR. At least this one's a 3CR13. Very soft on the steel. The weight on this, 4.71 ounces. And this is a liner lock. It's an assisted knife. Not sure if you figured that out or not. It is assisted. I took it apart. Now I regret having done that, or I did. It's a lot of fun to try to put back together with that spring. This is a liner lock. It's probably riding at about 30% over there on the tang of the blade. Pretty good on that. It's very solid. It's not going to break free. No lock issues or anything like that. Behind the edge is pretty thick, 27 thousandths, even though it's a hollow grind. It's not that tall. So yeah, not really super thin and slicey. It's hollow, but it's just kind of barely hollow. It's not like a really deep hollow grind or anything like that. It's pretty shallow hollow grind, as a matter of fact. All right, there we go with the specs. Let's dive into the rest of this knife. I've already kind of gone through most of the details. Interestingly enough, the pivot screw is a T10. Body screws are all T6. Pocket screws are T6. So, first thing you may or may not have noticed on this is a tip down only carry knife, and it is only one-sided. It is not reversible. So tip down only, which is not how we carry these knives, and non-reversible pocket clip. And I'd say this qualifies as one of the world's longest ever pocket clips. Doesn't have a big stick-up bill. I did try this, and it does go in and out of the pocket pretty well. Because it's so long, it has, a decent amount of springiness. Not too bad, not too good. It's just too long. When you get that long, it gets pretty springy. It's nice and deep, so if you wanted to carry this, you shouldn't have any problem getting it over most pairs of pants. But it's just long and beefy, and let's just set that out because it keeps falling out. It's not going to be super comfortable in the hand, I can just tell you that. There's not going to be a whole lot of great stuff about this knife. Nobody is looking at this knife, John included, saying that's a serious knife. Now, if you ever had to pull this out in some kind of altercation to protect your life, this might scare the hell out of somebody. Because who the hell would ever look at that and say, I want to get stabbed with that? So just by looks alone, that's pretty intimidating. And I guess it's got that going for it. So yeehaw for that. This is a very intimidating if they only knew it was a 3CR13. However, I will tell you what, a 3CR13 will cut you just as deeply and badly as a Magna Cut or better, right? It definitely fills the hand ergonomically, not bad. It's got plenty of texture on here. It's almost rubberized, not really. It's plasticky, but it's got almost a rubbery, plasticky feel to it. And lots of, I guess we would call this jimping or texture that it's going to definitely fill the hand. It's not going to be slippery in the hand in any way, shape, or form. The action, as I mentioned, this is a spring-assisted knife, flipper tab. No, it's not flipper tab only. It has a thumb stud, but it only has one on one side. There's no thumb stud on the other side. Don't know why. It appears that maybe it's cut out for it, but I guess maybe the blade wasn't thick enough. I don't know. So you can launch it with either the thumb stud or the flipper tab. It does have a spring inside there. Took it apart. Wish I hadn't. It was a bear to put back together again, but got it back together and it's still working pretty good. It's fairly smooth. It's going to pop out every time. This blade shape is crazy. It does have a nice thumb spoon. I'll give it credit for that. You can put your thumb right there. That feels nice and comfy. A little bit of a serrated edge. I haven't tried cutting rope with it. Maybe I should get a piece of rope and try that out. All right, I might regret this, but let's see. I got a little bit of my sisal rope that I do the cut testing with. We'll do this in the cut testing, but I just thought, you know what? No, that's not going to really cut through rope. And I can tell you for sure that sharp edge, this is never going to cut through rope. I could be sawing this rope all day. That's just going to dull a 3CR13, and yeah, it's just going to hang up on. So I guess it depends on what kind of rope you got, but y'all have to trust me. I'm pulling like I can pull here, and it is not making any of a dent in cutting that rope. So yeah, even the serrations are not going to be that great. Let me clean up my desktop here a little bit because that stuff, that bothers me. I don't know if it bothers y'all. Y'all probably don't care. Yeah, that's probably not going to be very useful for most situations. This is not like an EDC knife that you're going to carry anyhow. It deploys great. It's got a crazy, wicked, mean looking edge on it. It's pretty low quality steel. It does have a little bit of jimping up there on the blade here, on the thumb tang there. There's some jimping on the lock bar, so that makes it relatively easy to unlock. It's easy enough to close with one hand, as you can see there. There is no sharpening choil because of just the crazy blade shape style that we're dealing with here, right? But I will tell you, this acts like a sharpening choil right here. That last bit of serration does give you the ability. You could reprofile this edge. Here's the problem. When you get into a steel that's this soft, if I were to put this on my work sharp and try to sharpen it, all I'm going to do is just quickly grind away. You have to be really careful because you can take away so much material so fast on a soft steel like this. You end up getting it uneven. So one side you end up going deep, and then the other side you have to really count your strokes and not use, like I wouldn't use my low grit stones, only probably high grit stones. I was able to sharpen this thing with a ceramic rod. That's how sharp or how soft the steel is. So you have to be real careful when you're sharpening these because it's easy to over sharpen these in one direction or the other. I feel like I might still have not gotten the burr off of there, or it's so easy to move the burr from one side to the other. It just bends, folds right over. It's tough, y'all. It's tough. All right, let's bring this thing home. It's fairly centered. I guess we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt in that. You can see it didn't cut the rope. Okay, will it cut paper? No, not really. It does, but it's not. I mean, that's not anywhere near what you would want. And again, I tried sharpening, like I said, it's hard to get this soft of a steel really sharpened. Just even stropping it, you can over strop it and end up getting a burr on the other side easily just from stropping this thing. No branding. So that was an interesting choice. I mean, most cheap knives like this, they're going to put a name all over it. Now, maybe there's versions out there that have somebody's name on it. This one doesn't, so I thought that was interesting. There's no name at all. Now, let's talk about the piece that I haven't even talked about yet, which is kind of one of the cool features, or should be cool, but not quite, didn't make it. So when it came, this was in here like that, right? And it took me a second to even realize what this was, because at the time I got it, it was in there nice and tightly. What this is this is an emergency whistle on the top here. So you blow into this part. I'm not putting my mouth on it, John. Didn't want to do that to you, buddy. So that's your whistle. This side is a ferro rod. But when it came, it was wrapped up in tape. There's like a thick layer of tape on it. And I didn't know if that came from the factory or if John did it. I still don't know. Maybe that's what John did. Because if there wasn't tape on it, here's what happens, is what's been happening to me and why I had to take it out a minute ago. It doesn't stay in there. There's no mechanism to hold that in there unless you put a ton of tape on here, enough to make it wedge in there on that end. However, does it work? Well, first problem is the spine of the knife is not sharp enough at all to flick sparks. So what you're doing now is the jimping, or the serrations. Fortunately, the serrations are the perfect size for this ferro rod. So absolutely, will this work to start a fire? Yeah. If you were in an emergency and all you had was this knife, kiss your ass goodbye, because this knife ain't going to save you. However, you might be able to start a fire with it. And that's why I have this. That's why I have those few little marks on the front. Sorry, John. Had to do a live demo of the kind of the only saving cool feature of this knife. So I'm going to have to wrap that ferro rod back up in tape. So if you're ever in an emergency, you're going to have to get it out. You're going to have to shave all the tape off, and then you can use the serrations to maybe throw a few sparks. However, the whistle works just fine with the tape on it. So I guess if all else fails, you can just blow the whistle till you're blue in the face. All right, I think I'm just going to leave it with there. That's probably, the coolest feature of this knife. I've given you all the good points and the bad points. It's just kind of more bad than good. If this even had a decent steel, that might be a bit of a saving grace, but the steel is so soft. This is probably the softest steel I have ever seen in a knife. Which does tell me this is very likely to be a 3CR. I don't think I've ever reviewed a knife that had a 3CR13 steel on it. And even at that, I would think, you know, it might even be a little better. A real 3CR that's at least treated decently might be better than that. No, this is a $5 knife for a reason. However, it does have a ferro rod and a whistle as long as you don't lose it somewhere out in the woods while you're carrying this knife tipped down only on one side. So anyhow, fun knife. I appreciate John sending it along. He always tries to throw me a curveball with something here. I'm curious, does anyone else own this knife? If not, you may not want to spend the $5. You'd be better off spending the $5, get a good ferro rod and a whistle. And just carry those in your pocket, because those will probably do you better and certainly take up less pocket space in the meantime. Otherwise, love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. Always love hearing from you. Throw me a thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe notification bell. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Y'all have a great day.